Hi, my friends. My name is Gerdes. I do daily updates, but today I just want to talk about a thought I've been wrestling with. The question that is in my mind is, why is there a political divide in the United States about Ukraine? Early on in the war, I remember seeing polls that showed that the political right and left both supported Ukraine, but they supported Ukraine differently. The political left was likely to support Ukraine more, but the political right was likely to support Ukraine not quite as much, but with greater intensity and say we're not doing enough. Over time, that has shifted. Now, part of why that has shifted, I think, has to do with Russian propaganda points that have seeped in, and Tucker Carlson is no help to the political right in that regard. He's been saying a lot of repeating a lot of Russian propaganda kind of points. But I think there's something more at play at the same time, and I'm going to give you an analogy that I think will help make sense of it. Now, if you don't know, I'm a fairly conservative person, and I hope that does not chase you away. We've talked about this on my channel before, where look, I don't care if you're left, right, independent, whatever you are, if you support Ukraine, we're on the same page in supporting Ukraine, because this is literally a matter of life and death, as people are dying every day there, right? So don't let political positions get in the way, whether you're left, right, or indifferent. Um, I'm also in the justice camp. Now, there's two different camps, according to studies, particularly European studies. There's people that want peace at just peace, and then there's people that want justice in order to get peace. And what I mean by that is, like, just stop the war. We need to stop fighting. War is bad. Let's stop it now. That's the peace camp. Then there's a side that says, no, no, this can't happen again. You've got to prevent this from happening again. And in the justice camp, they say Putin needs to not only be beaten, but punished, so this does not happen again. And so I'm in that latter crowd. So I'm a fairly conservative guy in the justice camp. That's where I'm coming from. And I understand the arguments from the other side, but I think we need to just try to understand what's going on here with why the liberals tend to have, or progressives, liberals, the left wing tends to have higher support, and the right wing is lowering in support systematically over time. I think I have an answer, and I'd like your feedback, your thoughts about this, but I don't know that it's correct. So this is my speculation. I'm not, drawing on anything that is substantive, any documents, whatever. My brother's as left as I am right, so we have some interesting holiday talk. Um, and when I was visiting my parents a year or two ago, we had an interesting discussion where we were talking about COVID. And he's, far more hawkish about COVID than but I agree COVID's an issue. It is something that is, I mean, people were getting sick, and people were quibbling about how much they're getting sick, or as to how the degree of the severity or whatever. I'm not an anti-COVID. It's made up, government nano something or not. I'm not in that camp. But people were legitimately getting sick. Now, he had a more hard line than I did, but we still recognized, hey, we don't want people to get sick and die. And he said something that I thought was exactly right, and I think it applies here. He said the worst thing that we did was politicize COVID. There should have been some kind of deal right up front where Trump and Biden got together and said, look, we're not going to politicize COVID. We're going to work together on this. They should have worked through something along those lines. Let's say that could have been done. That would have changed things, because I remember before Biden was elected, when Trump went through the, Operation Warp Speed to get to the vaccines, Republicans were like, yeah, you go, you're breaking down those barriers, you're making it happen. And then the left were the ones saying, I'm not taking that vaccine. That's dangerous. I mean, how do we know what's in it? And then Biden got elected, and it was the right that was saying, vaccines, what vaccines? Those are crazy. That's not, we can't do that. We can't, right? And the right got anti-vax very quick, and the left was like on the side of like, well, if you haven't been twice or thrice vaxxed, you're not really a good moral citizen. I mean, it was really bizarre to see how it switched. I think that might be kind of what's happening in Ukraine, because Biden has been as supportive as he has been of Zelensky. I think people are knee-jerk on the right, knee-jerk reacting that if Biden sees this as good, then this must be bad. And I think that's a big part of what's going on. This is just my own perspective. I could be wrong. And I think it's a terrible perspective because I think if you look at it from a panoramic view of world history, Putin Putin will become Hitler if he is not stopped. His ambitions are such, and the best thing that humanity can do is stop Putin from doing what he is doing in Ukraine before it spreads somewhere else. I firmly believe that, and so I think that this short-sighted anti-Biden view from the right, and let's be honest, the left has an anti-whatever Republicans in charge view as well. So it would work the other way around if there was a Republican in charge instead of a Democrat in charge. I think it's short-sighted because we have to keep our eyes on the big picture of what Putin is doing in Ukraine and that it needs to be stopped. Okay, that's all that I have to say about that. Thank you for your feedback in advance because I really want to know what you think. Am I off track? Am I on track? What do you think about how this is working? I'm particularly interested in Americans, but overseas, you might have a different perspective as well that may add to this. Hey, thanks for your time and thank you for caring about Ukraine.